plaintiff, Jeremiah Heston, was addicted to meth and heroin. And when he dated the defendant, they were heavy drinkers. Jeremiah claims the defendant was pregnant when he left her 7 years ago. And he petitioned the court for a DNA test to see if he is her daughter's father. Defendant Jessica Reed says when Jeremiah left, he said he wanted nothing to do with the baby. So she lied and told him she terminated the pregnancy. Jessica agreed to take a DNA test today because she insists Jeremiah is her child's father.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Give me some background.
Okay. I've been a mess up all my life, basically, since I was 12. Been a real bad drug addict.
What type of drugs did you start with at 12?
Methamphetamine.
At 12?
Heroin.
At 12?
Well, not at 12. The heroin came later.
But meth at 12?
Meth, yeah.
All right.
This is an act to try to get my life straightened out and everything good. I met Jessica in 2010. I met her through a friend. We dated online, or not online, but by phone. Mm-hmm. And I ended up quitting my job in Indiana and moving out to be with her in Oklahoma. And
sight unseen?
I mean, not sight unseen. We talked on the phone and visited once or twice.
Okay.
But I decided I'm going to quit my job.
How did it go?
Okay. As soon as I get there, I come out there with my 2-year-old. I had full custody of my 2-year-old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I got there, she quit her job.
Before you got one?
As soon as yeah.
You didn't have one when you came?
I just moved up there.
And she quit hers when you arrived?
Yeah. Well, I ended up finding a job.
Yeah, okay.
And it ended up, she had a little bit of money because she had a tax return, so she had some money, but none of that was gone. That was it. I ended up, my job was enough to just pay the rent and the bills and stuff like that, and it got overwhelming for me. And finances are a big part of the reason stuff got bad. We were drinking real heavy, and it just got to the point where she moved one of her family members in the house, and just, I ended up to the point where I had decided I was going to leave. We were on the outs for a couple months before I decided I was going to leave, and didn't really talk. We didn't really communicate much. It was just like, you know,
there was no communication.
We live in the same house. That's it, you know. So I decided I'm going to leave. She comes out pregnant. So I told her at first, I'm at the point where I'm leaving no matter what. So we're doing some stuff that I wouldn't say is safe for a baby, you know, to be, you know.
No.
So I told her I told her if she's going to continue the stuff that she's going to do, she should have an abortion with the baby. If she was pregnant. At first, I don't believe her. But second, I said, well, if you're going to continue this, you can't.
Terminate the pregnancy.
Yes. So, long story short, I ended up leaving. She told me she had an abortion. I moved back home to Indiana and fell off the wagon right off the bat. As soon as I got there, ended up getting back into drugs real bad.
So how long had you been drug-free?
Meth-free, I'd been about the whole time I was there. So.
Okay, and how long was that?
Less than a year, almost a year.
So you all dated a year, 2 years? Okay.
Not 2. A year.
All right. 1 year. You want to make sure I got that right. Not 2, 1. All right.
Objection.
Objection, right, 1. All right. And why was it rocky?
It was a little bit, I'm not going to deny my part in it. We were drinking heavy.
All right, let me hear from you, ma'am.
All right, well, a lot of that is true. But, I mean, like you said, everything was great at first. You know, we got along, and then everything just went kind of crazy. And
Why do you think?
Because
what happened? Tell me.
We just started fighting over every little thing, and we weren't getting along.
Were you all drug addicted?
Huh?
Or just alcohol?
It was just alcohol.
Uh-huh.
And
would you get drunk often?
off and on, yes. But
How often is that? Once a week? Twice a week?
Every day.
almost every day. For a while there.
Drunk
yeah.
every day? Yes, you're going to have problems.
Yes,
I don't know what
of
y'all
course.
thought.
We
Go
made
ahead.
mistakes, but then we started fighting a lot.
Yes.
And anyways, I
That's
ended
what
up
drunks
pregnant.
do.
Huh?
That's what drunks do. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And then I ended up pregnant, which was a surprise. And he ended up telling me that he didn't want the baby, so I told him that I had an abortion, and he ended up leaving. So
And you obviously didn't
And he
have
hasn't
terminate.
seen it
You
yet.
obviously didn't terminate the pregnancy.
no, obviously not.
Then why did you tell him that?
Because he was leaving anyways, and he didn't want anything to do with it. So, and he hasn't seen her once since she was born, and
That's not
hasn't made.
that's not all the way true, Your Honor. She told me she didn't want me to have anything to do with the baby. I told her she should
Right.
terminate if she's going to be risky with the stuff she was doing.
That is not what I said.
Yeah.
Don't go away. There's more Judge Mathis after this.
I had problems with the dogs. I didn't even know the dog was moving. His ex-girlfriend actually asked me if I wanted this
The
dog.
dog moved out without notice?
No, so he
you didn't
moved,
know it
he
was
moved the
moving?
dog in
Oh, you know
without
it was
notice
moving
from
in.
me. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So he
And still to come, the DNA test results.
I had not had any communication with him at all. So, I mean, so.
You knew where to find the family, remember? Remember the family. They can just tell me anything. I didn't know how to reach him. You just got through telling me that they told his. So you all dated a year, 2
Yes.
years?
Not
Okay.
2. A year.
All right, 1 year. You want to make sure I got that right. Not 2, 1. All right.
Objection.
Objection, right, 1.
Defendant Jessica Reed insists the plaintiff is her child's father, but he has his doubts. So he petitioned the court for a paternity test.
What has happened since that time? How old is the child?
7.
7? So what has been going on for the last 7 years?
Well, I moved back. As soon as I moved back, I caught a prison case for, like I said, I got back into the drugs real bad. Ended up catching a manufacturing case. Ended up getting 6 years. Did 3 and some change.
Okay.
During this time, I'm on drugs. So some paperwork came for them, it's a child support paperwork.
Yeah, pretty much the only time he's ever talked about wanting to see her is when he gets paperwork for child support.
Okay, I'll let you go into that. Go ahead.
Anyways, I get the paperwork for the child support. I ignored it because I was in my stuff, you know? So I end up ignoring it, and then I end up getting incarcerated for several years. But
So when you came home, what happened then?
I started paying child support. I got a job.
So for the last 4 years, you've paid child support?
No, I'm not current by any means. But when I'm working, I pay. You know, I've been clean now for 1.5 years off the meth.
Good.
I'm gonna start college in the spring. I'm already accepted to Ivy Tech.
Good.
I'm not saying I'm a saint because I'm not.
You're not drinking alcohol, are you?
A little bit. Yeah.
Come on. Did you ever go to rehab? Treatment?
Oh God, you read?
And they didn't tell you you're not supposed to use any mind-altering drug or alcohol?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so why are you doing it anyway? You think you're different from the rest of the addicts? That alcohol, at some point, it'll trigger that thought of the other drug, particularly if you're drunk at the time. Because when you're drunk, you're much more reckless. You're much more inclined to do things that you wouldn't if you're sober. So you're sitting there drunk and somebody come with some crystal meth. Oh, crystal meth. I'm drunk, but I remember how that made me feel. So let me get some of that. That's better than the drunk that I feel. Since I'm drunk and I'm high anyway, let me get higher. That's got to be the process. All right, ma'am, you give me some insight on what happened. He says, and you agree that you told him you terminated the pregnancy, yes. So why would he get involved? You say he hadn't been involved, why would he if you told him that?
When he left, it was pretty sour, and he didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, because you told him you had terminated.
No, he said that before I told him that. He kept telling me to do it, so he said that before I told him I did that, when he was leaving.
Okay, why did you tell him you did?
Because he just was very mean and just wanted to leave, so I told him that.
Okay, and what did you expect to happen?
him not to have to worry about it, I guess.
If you knew you had told the man you terminated the pregnancy, why did you go and file child support?
After my daughter was born, my cousin went and told his mom that I had had the baby, and, you know, he knew about it, so.
Had you told him that it was his child at that point?
At that point, no.
Right.
She told
So
you.
how could you file for child support when the last you spoke of the child, you told him you had terminated it? So why would you come then and file for child support without saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and file child support because when I told you I terminated the pregnancy, I was just mad. I did have the child. And then you all discuss it. And then you say, okay, so I hope you'll understand I'm going now to file for child support. You didn't do that. You just went and filed and didn't even tell the man that you had not terminated. You want to go and get the results? And so...
Yes, I had... Oh,
pardon me?
I'm terribly sorry. I
What?
had not had any communication with him at all, so, I mean, so.
You knew where to find the family, remember? Remember the family. All right. Don't think they can just tell me anything. I didn't know how to reach him. You just got through telling me that they told his family.
The results of the paternity test when we return.
What would you call me if I started, Susan?
I wouldn't call you
Because that's a derogatory.
I was-
That's as equally as derogatory as it would be to me for a racial slur.
Okay, so the reason I
Referring
got...
to a transgender person as a it repeatedly.
But I've
then
always-
saying it's a dumb beat. Nothing but derogatory regarding his gender identification.
And later,
What else did you do to him?
I threw potato salad.
Potato salad, barbecue sauce. Now ask me one more time. You'll get these chitlins. You'll be wearing them. You'll walk out here looking like a whole soul food dinner. If you knew you had told the man you terminated the pregnancy, why did you go and file child support?
He knew about it, so.
Had you told him that it was his child at that point?
At that point, no.
Right.
She told
So
you.
how could you file for child support when the last you spoke of the child, you told him you had terminated it?
defendant Jessica Reed insists the plaintiff is her child's father, but he has his doubts. So he petitioned the court for a paternity test.
And you look clean, sir. And thank God you look clean. I hope you stay clean because you do have a child. And good luck to you. Have a good day.
Oh, dear. Can you say hi?
I'm your dad. It's good to meet you.
You say hi? Hi. You want to shake his hand?
Plaintiff Michael Hildreth says the defendant was friends with his girlfriend. And when Michael needed a place to stay, the defendant took him in. However, Michael claims the defendant ridiculed him for being transgender, and he has the tape to prove it. He's suing for an illegal eviction, the cost of a hotel, and emotional distress. Defendant Anastasia Vigil says while Michael was in her home, they got into an argument over his dog, and Michael ended up tackling her and choking her. Anastasia claims she called the police, and she's countersuing for the assault, rent, and a mattress.
Start with you.
Well, I've known Anastasia for about 3 years. She was best friends with my girlfriend. We moved into her apartment complex and stayed there for about 3 years. Shortly after, me and my girlfriend moved out of there, and I needed somewhere to stay, and Anastasia let me stay with her. Starting in July, like I said, I needed somewhere to stay. At the beginning, it was 2 weeks. I paid her for those 2 weeks. Then I realized I needed more time. Totaling in 6 months, she agreed to the 6 months.
Okay, what was the agreement for you to stay there?
$100 for 6 months.
Oh,
Per month.
entire 6 months?
No, per month. $100 per month. for 6
$100. What
months
did you
total.
occupy? A room or?
A room, yes.
All right, so that was the deal. Go ahead.
Staying with her in the beginning, it was fine. And then shortly after, she pretty much switched character and started calling me derogatory names. I'm transgender. and I felt like she started to target me because of that.
Felt like? What did she say exactly?
She did. She started to refer to me as it instead of a person.
Saying it to you?
Saying it to me, yes.
Directly to you?
She was talking to either her child or there was a situation where we also had the police there, and she was calling me it in front of the police officers. So there was witnesses to this situation.
Okay.
And I also submitted evidence into the courts as audio tapes of her saying it, if I can play it.
Sure.
He's a dumb. She's the dumb. It's the dumb.
Keep disrespecting me, that's fine.
Really, but him is on hormones, and it's scaring me. So I
But that's no reason for you to be like disrespectful towards me as a person.
Now he's gonna press Dad. He needs to get out here before I call D and everybody else, and they come to personally throw this little.
That's cool, you could do that too. That's cool, you could do that too.
All right, that's enough. All right, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi. Explain what I just heard.
So he moved in with me around July 9th. And he was just being disrespectful and everything like that. And yes, I did get angry. But
Why'd you use hate language?
because he started, okay. So what had happened was
What
when
would you call me if I started something?
I wouldn't call you
Because that's a derogatory. That's as equally as derogatory as it would be to me for a racial slur.
Okay, so the reason
Referring
I got
to a transgender person as a it repeatedly.
But I've
then
always
saying he's getting hormones. He's scaring me because of the hormones. Throw this little bee out of my house. It's a dumb bee. Nothing but derogatory regarding his gender identification.
So I was angry. He called me a fat bee. And then, but before that, when
You have your evidence?
We've gotten into an argument about the money that he hasn't paid me. Because I told him he had to.
I know you want to skip that subject.
Himself.
Go ahead. You tell me about the money. So you went to the money, tried to get away from that. Go ahead.
Like I said, the first living situation was the first 2 weeks I paid $50 until I realized I needed more time. I gave her $40 also for just household things just to use around the house. And then after that, I started to pay the $100 per month. I had a dog with me. She was a small Chihuahua. I have a picture of her as well. We had an incident where she said that my dog had pissed on her clothes. I wasn't too sure of it. I highly doubted that my dog had did it, but to resolve the issue, I washed her clothes and offered to wash her clothes. That was the first situation that I known that we had as a disagreement. I provided a solution for it.
Ma'am?
I had problems with the dogs. I didn't even know the dog was moving. His ex-girlfriend actually asked me if I wanted this dog.
The dog moved out without notice?
No, so he moved the dog in without notice from me. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So he he moved the dog in without me and my consent. He just showed up with his dog and all of his stuff. So when it first started, he just needed until the 26th, and I said okay because he has to go to court.
That's the first 2 weeks, as he said.
Yep, exactly. So when he moved in, he said until the 26th, and I go, okay, well, how long do you need? And he was like, well, man, like, I don't go back to court for another 6 months. And I go, well, I can't do that because that goes against my landlords. The longest I could have a person at my home is 2 weeks to a month without it being like as if they moved in, okay? So after that trial, he ended up staying and I allowed him to stay.
How long?
I allowed him to stay for a month. And then when he moved in, it was $50 because he was staying on the couch.
Stay tuned. The case continues after this.
I'm very humble in the text messages, as you can read.
Don't be trying to make up for the derogatory all that stuff you said.
I'm so sorry. I was so angry. I'm sorry.
You get mad. You are a very respectful, nice lady today. I would have never thought that until he handed me that. You went off.
No.
I'm transgender, and I felt like she started to target me because of that.
What did she say exactly?
She did. She started to refer to me as it instead of a person.
Saying it to you?
Saying it to me, yes.
Directly to you.
There was a situation where we also had the police there, and she was calling me it in front of the police officers. So there was witnesses to this situation.
Defendant Anastasia Vigil allowed the plaintiff to move in with her, and she claims while there, she called the police after the plaintiff tackled her and choked her.
Go ahead.
Now, I couldn't do my duties as a single mother for my children throughout the day because he works the overnight shift. So me trying to be a mom and trying to control my 1-year-old, you know, that's about to be 2, it was just too much. And then him being on the couch, I had to try to keep her quiet, try to let him sleep because I know he works the overnight, you know what I mean? I respected that. So when 2 weeks passed by and he came back, he had approached me and asked me if he could move into my daughter's room. And I said, well, I would have to talk to her about that. She is 8 years old. So when she said yes, he moved in, and that's when he agreed to start paying $100 a week. No 6 months. I told him a month, and I have the text messages.
Just see that. That did sound very odd, sir. I said she had to be in love with you to charge you $100 a month.
No.
I don't know who does that.
No, but I'm very humble in the text messages, as you can read.
Don't be trying to make up for the derogatory language, all that stuff you said. Now
I'm so sorry. I was so angry. I'm sorry.
You get mad. You are a very respectful, nice lady today. I would have never thought that until he handed me that. You went off.
No, but
in the worst way.
He called me fat and scared my 1-year-old.
I didn't see that part. If you're going to start here, I'm going to need more help in cleaning the area. We need to talk later. I don't want to talk right now, all right? I don't know if this house was spotless when I left. There's another 50 on the table. I cleaned the rest of the kitchen. You are being, but I don't see where you're referring to the 100 per week. You gave me too many papers to read there.
If you want to circle it.
All right. He says the agreement was 100 a month. You say 100 per week.
It was 100 a week when he moved to my daughter's room, so he could have his own privacy.
That's not true.
And he had
that makes sense.
With the closed door.
I'll let you look for it. In the meantime, you tell me about the eviction process.
The police told her that she would have to go either to the courts and file a restraining order on me or go through the eviction process. Shortly after, that's when I also have that audio recording where he's telling her exactly how to go about it.
Let's see it, please. To get a restraining order?
To get a restraining order and to get an eviction. Okay. And then shortly after, she called them back lying and saying that I assaulted her. But I was not charged with assault, and she didn't have any marks on her, so they had no choice besides to make me leave the property.
So
Ma'am?
the officers
Did
had
you find that,
twice.
though? Did you find the
No, it was a verbal agreement between us. I just remembered that it was a verbal agreement.
So you hand me 10 pages thinking that knowing that I don't have time to go. That's what people do all the
Sorry,
time.
I'm
That's
so
a little
sorry.
slick move.
So I thought it was in here, but it was a verbal agreement.
I know you did.
So I apologize for that.
That's all right. Go ahead with the soft con.
So the officers showed up twice.
That's the soft con. And they come with that. Try to win me back. Yeah. I apologize. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
You see how nice I am?
No,
nice
no.
little person.
So actually, my dad was on the phone with me after the
Tell me about the altercation and the police visit.
So there's this and this.
What happened? What started it?
So just these three papers started it.
But I ain't looked in your paper. No, ma'am.
Okay.
You tell me what. You know,
So
we've
anyway,
done that.
it was
Been
just-
there, done that.
So
Go
it was
ahead.
just me telling him, like, I mean this in the most humble manner. I knocked on the door. He said that he paid $300 to me, and he did not.
Mm-hmm.
He only paid $150. So when I had
told you this face to face?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So when he had opened the door, because I knocked and he had opened the door, and I told him you did not pay $300.
You came unexpectedly without notice?
No, I knocked. And he knew because we were texting room from room because that's how uncomfortable it was in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him that he didn't pay the $300, and I told him how the dog was the problem, and it just escalated. And pretty soon, I had to call him to ask him if he could tell him to leave my home because he started banging on his chest and don't call me a B, don't call me out my name, and like yelling at the top of his lungs. And my daughter's freaked out like ooey ooey. So I didn't know what to do. So I called him and asked him, can you please help me get this man out of my house? Because he's going crazy and he is scaring me. So I called the police because he was like, well, I'm going to do a civil standby and I'm going to get you kicked out and this and that. Okay. And I said, well, I will call the cops. So I called the cops and they showed up. Well, I was still on the phone with my father when the cops showed up. And he's just running through my house. This is my house, B. Yup, this is my house. This is my house. Like screaming like crazy. And I'm like, you need to tone it down, dude. Like you need to calm down because you're getting too irate and you're scaring my child. I don't give an I don't give an And he was just cussing at him, telling him off, and I'm gonna beat your mother butt. And I was like, you know what? I was
never
like,
seen your dad a day in my life until now.
No, it was on the phone. He was on the phone with me the whole time. So he was recording, and he said he's going to try to get me for animal abuse and child abuse. So when he was recording, I grabbed the phone to see if he was recording, and he tackled me and grabbed me by my throat. So I have a statement here from my neighbor and a statement from my mom.
What happened with the police?
I tackled her.
I ran out to my neighbor's house because I was really scared. I was afraid because I don't know what.
You never spoke with the police about these things?
Huh?
Did you speak with the police about being choked?
Yes.
I wasn't charged with assault.
But he wasn't charged with assault. But when I went to the neighbor,
Why not? Why not?
Because at that point they were trying to give him jail time, and I just wanted him out of the house.
Got it. All right.
And
So
I
he
have a statement
can throw
from
you
my
down
mother
and
and
choke
my
you all
neighbor.
you want, long as he move. No problem with the throw down and the choke.
just wanted him
That's
out of my
all right,
house.
just long as you move. All right.
Well, I went to my neighbor's right after because I didn't want to fight with him.
Stay tuned. The verdict next. And coming up on Judge Mathis.
She says because of all the things that was happening to her that she dropped out of high school.
I'm just an uncle. You know, I don't have the custody to...
Okay, well, she mentioned you.
Right.
She put you in it.
I've sat down, I've talked to her, I tried to give her advice and steer her in the right direction. And
Did you advise your mother to seek counseling for her?
Justice.
I didn't abandon her.
Never.
Get him out of here. He's a dope fiend himself.
Stops. Judge Mathis.
It's going to be much more funny when you get thrown out.
Defendant Anastasia V. Hill allowed the plaintiff to move in with her, and she claims while there, she called the police after the plaintiff tackled her and choked her.
Tell me about the hotel.
Well, I had to pretty much move into a motel because I didn't have nowhere else to go because of how that situation ended, and I had work that night.
All right, and the counterclaim, how does he owe you for rent, mattress, pain, and suffering due to an assault?
So he hasn't paid me for the 2 weeks that he was supposed to pay me for.
Got that.
And I had asked him to leave the residence, and he said, well, if I'm getting kicked out, then I'm not going to pay for the 2 weeks.
Okay. What about the mattress, ma'am?
So I have a picture of the mattress. I tried to bleach it, but it's not a very good
What's
photo.
wrong with it?
It's soaked all the way down.
But she
with
can't
dog
prove
piss.
that my
With-
dog did
with
that.
dog
And it
urine.
stinks. Yeah,
Let me
he
see
tried
the
to blame it
picture.
on my
Let me
children.
see.
She can't say that my dog did that when my dog was never on her bed.
Did you have any communications, perhaps, regarding
yeah, I
the dog?
have text messages for the
Pardon
bed.
me?
I have text messages with him for my bed and my stuff that
Okay,
dog peed.
that's what I need to see that. Now, don't hand me 10. Hand me 1 or 2 pages that shows me something about the dog. Hey, Mike, I made my bed last night, and I guess she has been peeing on the side of it. It reeks, but you haven't apologized for any of her actions, nor volunteered to clean up after her. The response, can you do another month? Oh, this is you again?
We had talked in person after that text right there. We had talked in person.
All right. Emotional distress. I'm not sure who caused each other the emotional distress. I know she made derogatory remarks in front of folks regarding
Yes,
your
that
gender
personally
identification.
bothers me,
But
yes.
she also makes reference to some of the things you did, and I believe you were messy that day as well. So I'm not granting anybody anything other than the illegal eviction in the hotel for you. And ma'am, I'll grant you unpaid rent, $350. For the time that you did stay there with her, and $500 for the mattress. $850 is your judgment, $1,270 is your judgment for the illegal eviction and for the hotel stay. Have a good day. That's my judgment.
At the end of the day, everybody has their own perception of people. All I can say is who she really is. They didn't get a chance to see everything of who she really is. And my judgment of me, I am who I am, and I'm not going to change that, and I'm not a violent person, and she still can't
He's a
portray me to be that.
narcissist.
Plaintiff Greg Kelly says the defendant is his niece, and his mother raised her. Greg claims the defendant hangs with a bad crowd, smokes pot, and dropped out of high school, and he's suing her today for an unpaid loan. Defendant Ariana Sterling says she had a good relationship with Greg, but now they argue all the time. Ariana claims she is enrolled in online school and intends to get her high school diploma. And she insists she was a minor when Greg gave her money.
Start with you.
Well, I'm a really great uncle. I'm the uncle everybody in my family goes to for rides and to borrow money. And my niece is my sister's daughter. My mother took over custody of my niece and her 2 little ones when she was about 16 years old. I let my I try to help out my niece. I let her money.
You all ever live in the same household
Yes.
together? You and your niece?
Yes.
How many years?
For about 4 or 5.
Okay, how was it? What type of young lady was she?
Well, she's like any teenager. You know, she has her moments of rebellion where she thinks she's knows everything that she needs to know about.
Nothing beyond the average teenage challenges. Nothing extreme.
You know, she hangs out with a not so great group of people. She, smokes weed and.
How are her grades?
She dropped out of school.
Okay, well, that says it all.
So, she's an individual who, is sorry for when things happen, but doesn't take responsibility.
What all have you been doing for her?
I've helped her with rides. I've helped her with money. I've tried to encourage her to get, jobs in different places, and I've offered her advice in certain areas.
Give her money how often?
I don't know, once every couple of weeks.
Every couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Since she dropped out of school?
Not so. I wouldn't say like clockwork every couple of weeks, but $20 here and there. Maybe once every 2 months, probably. If it was
you still live with your parent?
Yes.
Don't go away. More of Judge Mathis is. Defendant Ariana Sterling is being sued by her uncle, who claims Ariana smokes marijuana and dropped out of school.
Hear from you, young lady. Tell me about yourself.
I live with my grandmother. I have a good relationship with my uncle for the most part. When I was 14, my grandma took me in as a good woman that she is.
Why'd you let your grandmother down? Sound like you love her.
I do. I love her.
Why'd you let her down?
Because I was through a lot of stress and I was depressed for a long time.
You didn't ask for help?
I did ask for help.
From who?
My grandmother, my uncle.
Did anybody help you?
No, I'm stubborn and try to figure things out on my own.
Okay, that's what I mean. You let them down.
Yeah.
Because you knew you needed help, and you say you asked, but I didn't hear you say what they said.
Right. Yes, and me and my uncle argue all the time now. We've been out arguing.
So you're no longer depressed?
No, sir.
Okay, so why haven't you gotten your high school diploma in?
I am trying to work on it at the moment.
What does that mean, trying to work on it?
I do online schooling on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a couple credits I had to make up, so they told
And how old are you?
I'm 19.
And so you dropped out at what age?
18.
All right. And she said she needed help, and did you know of that? Did she?
Well, once again, she's, anytime that we try to talk to her or say, hey, maybe this crowd of people that you're hanging out with isn't such a good idea.
No, counseling. That sounds like when the person tells you they're depressed and they're not doing well and they don't like their life, they need counseling. When they don't have any direction, they need counseling. She says because of all the things that was happening to her that she dropped out of high school.
I'm just uncle. I don't have the custody to...
Okay, well, she mentioned you.
Right.
She put you in it.
No, I understand.
I said, you ever tell your grandmother and your uncle?
Right.
She said they knew.
I've sat down, I've talked to her, I tried to give her advice and steer her in the right direction. And
did you advise your mother to seek counseling for her?
I told my mother that, that I, felt maybe she needed some help or needed to go. But she actually, we thought that it would be best if she went and lived with her father for a little while. So she moved down to Tennessee and in Nashville for a year.
That was after dropping out?
That was after dropping out. And, she came back because it just wasn't working out. And she recently just came back a couple months ago. So.
All right. Well, let me ask you to encourage her to go for counseling, all right?
I will.
All right. Please do.
I understand. That's why I try to be, someone in her corner.
Yeah. And I hear that. I hear you wanting to be helpful. I hear you've helped her with money. Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of hard for somebody to be in your corner when they're being rude and disrespectful towards you for the most part.
Me too. You've helped her with money? Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of hard for somebody to be in your corner when they're being rude and disrespectful towards you for the most part.
He ain't too rude. We'll find out how rude he is on this 3,300. All right, tell me how she owed you 3,300. We're gonna see how really rude you were.
Well, so I was letting Ariana's working, and I was letting her use my car. She go see her friends and stuff, and she bring my car back late, and I was late for my job a couple of times, and. The arrangement just really wasn't working out for me. She hit a deer with my car, you know, and she just kind of came in the house and was like, hit a deer with her car. And, you know, really wasn't apologetic about it. It was just kind of like, hey, it happens. You know, it's where we live, I guess. So I said, hey, you know what? I'll help you with the car, but you got to pay me back. You know, I had some money put away that for a rainy day. So I said, hey, I'll help you out. And I said, you know, give me back $200 a month, and I'll help you get a car. Sometime later, she was driving down the highway, and I saw her car side of the highway, and I called her, and she said the car had broken down. She brought it to a mechanic friend of ours. He said that the car had no oil on it, and it overheated the engine, and a rod went through it, and she basically blew up the engine. And then she sold the car to scrap for $500. Didn't get any money for it.
Okay. Let's hear from you, young lady.
Well, he loaned me the $3,300. He kind of forced me to get the car. He was the one go with me to choose the car.
Who asked? Who suggested getting the car?
He did.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So,
what was your response? Because when a person forces you, you definitely resist at first.
Yes.
So, what was your when he said, "I'm gonna get you a car"? What did you say?
I was like, okay, you know, we went and looked with the car.
Hold on, you said okay.
Yeah, I said okay.
Well, hold on, that doesn't sound like you're being forced.
Well, I said no. I'm not saying like I wasn't saying like he forced me. I let him give me money. I was saying he.
That's
forced
exactly what you said.
Yes, sir. But I was saying like he forced me to get the car like that we looked at. Like he didn't let me look at multiple cars.
The particular car.
Yes, correct.
All right.
So we looked at the car that he told me to get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a man, so I took his advice for it.
No, you're right. The uncle, older, experience. You're right.
Correct.
You did.
So within a couple months of me having it, the first month I had it, it started, you know, making funny sounds. Just wasn't reliable as I thought it would. And then like the third month of me having it, it quit on me completely on the freeway.
Judge Mathis will be right back.
Justice.
I didn't abandon her.
Never.
Get him out of here. He's a dope fiend himself.
Stops. Judge Mathis.
It's going to be much more funny when you get thrown out.
Defendant Ariana Sterling is being sued by her uncle, who claims Ariana smokes marijuana and dropped out of school.
Why didn't you pay him the first month?
Because I was in the middle of looking for a job, Your Honor. Not to mention I was only 16 at the time, so... You know, we made the agreement, I guess, as me being young and dumb, you know, not paying attention.
No, you're not too young and dumb, and you stayed in school long enough to know that this is an unenforceable contract because, as you just said, you were underage. She went to high school long enough to learn that.
So, yeah, it was just bad.
Like, you just don't think you should keep your word regardless of your age?
I mean, not when you call somebody out their name and, you know, disrespectful, starting stuff at family gatherings in front of my little sisters, you know. My little sisters look up to me, and I try to be the best role model I can for them, you know. But he started, like, last July, when 4th of July, we had a family gathering at my grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
He came at me about the car. You know, I was like, you know, maybe we shouldn't do this here, you know, the family here, whole bunch of family, I have a big family. He started like calling me out my name, yelling at me. It got to the point I threw food in his face, barbecue sauce, a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But you know, I feel like as though I was young, I was 16.
So essentially, he got upset when he asked for his money.
Yes, but...
All right, so you should have told him, don't you never ask me. Go ahead and tell him, don't you never ask me for money. Never. I owe you no more. I'll throw some, what'd you throw in his face?
Barbecue sauce.
I'll throw some barbecue sauce in your face. If you ever ask me for the money I owe you. What else did you do to him?
I threw potato salad.
Potato salad? Barbecue sauce? Now ask me one more time. You'll get these chitlins. You'll be wearing them. You'll walk out here looking like a whole soul food dinner.
It was just pretty bad, you know.
See what I see? That's what happens when you all don't get a person counseling who needs it. You didn't think about that after that picnic. You still didn't think about no counseling. It's not true. You say, oh, no, my baby needs some counseling here now.
No, Your Honor, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I'm a great father. My son is a first responder. You know, I have no problem raising my son. But, you know, I did everything that I felt that I could for her. Let me just say this. Linda and I raised our niece about 80% of her life and in home. And there were a lot of challenges involved with that. But we had to step up and meet them. All right? And that's what you have to do.
when you see a child, particularly if you can help. If you're capable of helping, that's the obligation that you have to a younger child, your sister's daughter. That's the obligation you have, sir, and that's how we have to look at it. And I'm not going to get personal about my niece's life, but the point is that we had some challenges and we overcame them, and she's a very successful young lady. So I say that to say that's how you have to look at things, and viewers who are watching, that's how you have to look at it. It's an obligation of yours if you are capable, all right? In the meantime, she went to school long enough. Like she said, this contract is unenforceable because she was a minor. Adults can't make contracts with minors. How old are you now?
19.
All right, now this is the only exception. Do you agree you want to pay him now?
Yes.
All right. See, you better be glad. You better be glad. Because what she just did is reaffirm that unenforceable contract. She renewed it as an adult. Now you got a valid contract, and so it's a judgment for you. Have a good day. Right. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I think it'll make it, better now that things are settled.
Definitely. I agree. I also agree. I was willing to settle this and, be able to have a peaceful environment in my environment.
I thought everything the judge said was really great and gave me a lot to think about as far as, trying to help her more with counseling and things.